Hello, my friends. Kellen here. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of a conversion issue on our last podcast, and it is impossible for me to get it out of the void, which means we're making a little bit of a pivot since it is currently Monday right now, and I'm doing the editing for the podcast this week. We're going to go ahead and do a DBS throwback, so enjoy our very first and second episode this week. And then next week, we'll get right back to regular podcast schedule. Thanks so much. Welcome to the DBS Films Podcast. My name is Kellen, and together with my brother Brendan, we are going to go ahead and give you an inside look into what it's like making independent films. So on today's episode, which is actually our first episode, so we're pretty excited here, we're going to go ahead and just kind of talk about what is DBS Films and, what our ideas and what exactly we're looking to do in the future is going to end up being. So should be pretty interesting. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're really excited about this. So Brendan, give me a little bit of background. What was kind of your background that led into going into DBS Films?
Well, Kelly, I appreciate you taking the time to put together this podcast, and I appreciate all the people who are following us, liking and sharing on TikTok and everything like that. All that feedback is great, it's super valuable. So how we started probably about 12 years ago, I started a publishing company. My goal was to always make movies, but you just can't really just start making movies because at that time there was no platform to really put it on there. People were still doing theatrical releases. Amazon Prime Video didn't really exist. So my thought process was, well, I could start with a book. We can start with a story, we can hone our skills, and then slowly transition to movies. We did really well with Amazon. And about, I think 4 or 5, maybe 6 years ago, when Amazon started their upload process, Amazon Prime Video, they reached out to us and said, hey, your books do really well. Obviously, you have a talent for writing and, creating stories that sell. Would you be interested in, trying to transition those stories into movies? And of course, obviously, this is my dream. So I was like, sure. And that's pretty much where we started. And it's been a pretty crazy journey the last 6 years, but it's been a lot of fun.
I would definitely say crazy and fun is a really good way to sum it up. I think one of the biggest things is it is a ton of work and is a super hard industry to make it in. So again, I can only imagine what it's like, on your end. I can't imagine pretty well of just how much work goes into the process of it. So I think, when you were growing up, was this something, again, we grew up together, but was this something that you're always like, man, I'd love to make movies in that sense? Because I know when I look at myself, I was always the one kid where like, I'd watch a movie and be like, it'd be way cooler if they did this. Or I'd always come up with little stories in my head. Was that kind of the similar case for you?
Yeah, I think so. I think making movies is the highest form of art just because you have so many people involved in the process. So you can be a singer-songwriter and you just need yourself. And, no offense to those people, but it's like with a movie, you have teams of hundreds of people. So everyone has their own idea. Everyone has their own, thought about how the scene is supposed to play out, from the writers to the directors to the producers. So it's extremely, extremely difficult to, go all the way through the process and keep, the integrity of your idea all the way through. So I'd say for that art form, it's one of the more difficult things to do, if not the most difficult. And I've always liked a good story. And I think like you have, everything's transitioning from books to then move to Audible. And then, some video games do, a great job of storytelling. And I think movies are always going to be there. And it's something when you create it, it'll be there for, the rest of your life, and people will continually watch it.
I think that's my favorite part now, because we get asked that a lot. And again, huge shout out to all of our super fans and everyone supporting us now. But one of the big ones is like, what's your favorite part? And really my favorite part, and I'm sure it probably might be yours as well too, is when you come up with an idea or you write a character and then you go from that character to a finalized form in the script of what the character, so they look a little bit clearer, but then you cast them so now they literally look like someone, and then you finally get to see it, and seeing that whole process unfold is really, really cool.
Yeah, I agree. To have something to start with just an idea and see it play out and flesh out, especially as we're getting better now. The last one we shot, as I'm watching the edit right now, because we're about to finish the edit, and for most of it, it is what I had in my head. Now, whether or not it's good or not, obviously we just have to get to that level. But for the most part, it's how I thought it would play out. And that's the hard part of first starting these out, is because you have these ideas in your head, but executing on them is extremely, extremely difficult, especially when you're first starting out, when you're working with the indie crew. And your writing is not as sharp as it needs to be. Your cinematography is not sharp, and your editing skills just need to be refined.
I think that's a great point. And I think one of the biggest things I always bring up is, it's practice makes perfect in the sense of getting your reps in. And as someone who has never made a movie before, Amazon comes to you and they say, hey man, we want you to make a movie. What was that process like? What did you immediately do? Just kind of walk me through what was the initial, getting the gears in motion when it comes to getting everything started.
Well, we had about a 6-month head start on the program. We had our own reps that were working with us with stories. And they really wanted to push, really wanted to champion the Indian filmmakers. That was like really what they wanted to do.
And just real quick, what year was this? Because Amazon's kind of gone through an ebb and flow of working with indie films. But when was this?
It was like 2017, I think 2018, whenever Gone came out.
2017.
And they were really trying to help the indies. They built Kindle essentially with indie authors. The problem, once again, is like making a book is you're using your own imagination. You're writing the world's down. You're not having, there's no budget constraints or anything like that. So when Amazon opened the floodgates to indies, it's extremely difficult to make an indie film. And I think that they saw that, and after user feedback, they've essentially shut it down. So indies on Amazon, unless you're through a distribution company right now, is pretty much dead. But it's slowly coming back. So we're hoping to take our catalog and eventually get it back on the Amazon Prime platform, so you guys can watch it for free.
Yeah, and as you guys continue to listen to our podcast, we're going to release each of the movies, and we really want to give you a full idea of not only what it's like to make a movie, but how you can actually make a living off making a movie. Because, a lot of people, I feel like they think the goal is making the movie, but really the goal is you got to get it out, you got to push it, and you got to do all these things. And as we continue to make movies throughout the years, the whole landscape just keeps shifting. So that's going to be interesting, seeing just how it kind of develops. So Amazon says, hey, here's a head start. So I know we ended up basically casting out to get a lot of the help, but walk me through that process of building your first team. And, this is critical of a producer to be able to build a team that can work together and, make things happen.
Yeah, I mean, I already had employees, so we were gonna, we had a team of writers. The guy we did for the DP owned a video business right down the hall. And so that conversation was, hey man, I know you make corporate videos, but would you like to take a shot at trying to make because Gone was supposed to be like an episode. It was supposed to be 30 minutes long, and we're going to try and make it like an anthology if, there was interest in it. So, that was where we met him. We got him for a DP. And then we have, so we're based out of Orlando. So we have Full Sail. And that's when we did our first casting. We went there and we started looking for, talent. And as far as the the sound guys, I believe we used one of our employees knew how to do sound, so he used the boom mic. I think that's what it is. I can't quite remember because he was so far away. But it was, we were just scrapping together whoever we could find together that wanted to work on this project. And this one was made with no budget. This was Amazon's like, give us something that works. They didn't know how they were going to make any money. I had no idea how to make money off this. So I was like, all right, look, we're going to make the cheapest thing ever. Whoever wants to be a part of this is just a passion project. I think we paid the actors, and I think we paid the DP, but everyone else was just sweat equity.
And that was our first movie, Gone, that's out there. And the next episode, we're going to dive into detail on Gone. So, that's kind of just the jumping. I would say, really this process has been kind of jumping headfirst into the water, no film school or any processes like that or any experience with other sets. We were kind of just going full on. So, Right now, 9 movies. We currently have our 10th one in the mix of this recording right now, and then we're going to be filming the 11th one in April, hopefully. So that's kind of where we're at. Where would you say DBS as a whole is kind of at in the cycle? Because I think for the longest time, it took us a while to maybe get the feet underneath our ground. But where would you kind of say you see DBS right now?
Well, I think we're in a good spot. I think the success of the Girl in Cabin 13 has allowed us to, just mainly connect with more people in the industry. That just it kind of opened doors. So I'd say like there's 3 tiers of the indie, you know, process of getting your movie. If you have a finished movie, there's 3 like different levels you're at, and it's the first one's like if it's a student film or a film that has issues, but you got it. It's usually you self-upload. So that used to be Amazon. Now you have Film Hub. There's a couple of platforms on there. You have YouTube that you can upload it just to get feedback on it. Is the first level. The second level is like working with distribution companies, which is what we did with The Girl in Cabin 13. We got a whole bunch of offers. We signed with the largest independent film distribution company, and they've done a good job with everything as far as the distribution. There's DVDs. It's on pretty much all the platforms. And then the top tier, the next level of independent filmmaking is, getting the distribution money up front, getting a producer that's willing to invest in the project and signing these deals before you start shooting. So going into the shoot that you're recouping your money, and at that point your budgets are higher, you get more shooting days. That's pretty much the next level. Now we're probably about 3 or 4 films away from getting to that level, but it's coming.
Yeah, definitely you can feel a lot of momentum building, which is nice. And again, I think one of the biggest things is just seeing the reception that we've got, on social media platforms, and just kind of, there's a lot of really cool people out there. I mean, making films is fun, and there's a ton of people who would love to do stuff like this. So we're really grateful for that. And we always want to kind of give you guys an inside look into, what it's like to make a movie, or what it's like. Because in my opinion, I feel like a lot of the bigger Hollywood studios, I mean, they're pretty much closed door circuits. They produce there's these giant machines. They have people who have been actors since they were kids that know a whole bunch of other people. It's not that it by far, I always give the most respect to anyone who's a filmmaker. I'll always watch an indie film. I'll always watch these things because it is such a tough process. And it really is almost like David versus Goliath, because, you're looking at our budget versus 100 times larger with these full studios. And even for the full studios, it is not easy to make a movie. It's not easy to make a movie that gets finished. It's not easy to make a movie that recoups its money. So it is quite the struggle, and that's why we always want to kind of give you guys some insights into it. So what would you say is the goal of DBS? I know it's kind of ebbed and flowed a little bit, but everything moves in the right direction. Where do you kind of see it going?
I mean, I think I still always would like to make low budget movies. Like I still think the indie model is the most fun. I think having a smaller crew, having a smaller set, there's energy in there that's just it's just a lot of fun to be on these sets and work with these people. I think there's more attention to detail, and everyone's like got sort of a hustler, like you said, David versus Goliath kind of like mentality. That being said, I would like to get to the Blumhouse model where you're getting at least 5 million to shoot these things, and we can flush them out. Because I mean, there's a lot of movies that we do and I'm like, dang man, that's like a really cool concept. Like we can't do it. Like I have probably 10 to 20 scripts we've written that are really, really, really cool, that explore really cool stuff. And we just can't shoot them because they need a budget behind them. Even like the Whitlow House, which is one of my favorites that we've done, is a cool story, but man, it just needs like this crazy final climax where you're in like a haunted house and there's murder and there's gore and there's a ton of people. And a lot of that is it's expensive. So I think getting to the point where we can tell a story comfortably, obviously within our means, and have the budget to do so and the time to shoot it, because time is probably your most precious asset on set, would be where I'd like to see the company go and to eventually get to.
Yeah, I think one of the cooler things is, all of the movies, you take a look at them, almost kind of like prototypes. Even the Haunting of the Suicide House, which is one of our first ones we filmed, our 10th movie coming out is basically going to be a re-looked version of that. And, you look at all of these movies, and for someone like us, a couple $100,000 would be insanely huge when it comes to increasing the size of the budget. When you look at like a Hollywood film, they have one day went mismanaged on shoot and they just burned, 10 of our movies. So it's one of those things where what's cool with us is, if you like these ideas and you think they're cool, you can almost see how they're going to continue to develop, and we continue to play on the ideas that we have there. So I think that's one of the things that I really like is, these are almost all the movies we have little prototypes of what they actually could be, whether it's the Morgan Estate, the Whitlow House, the Devil in the Room I'm fond of, but it's just all of those ones. You really kind of have to boil it down to how can you tell this story for as bare minimum as possible and get the point across. So I think that hones your skills, as like a David and Goliath. So what would you say are some of the things that, if someone, hey, I want to get in the film industry, this happens all the time and it's super tough. What would you say to someone, regardless of the role, I want to get into the film industry?
Um, well, if you want to be behind the camera, like I'll break it down to
Mhm.
people who want to be on set and just be behind the camera. You got to hustle, and you have to just really make yourself useful. Just bend over backwards, do the best job that you possibly can. Don't complain, and just really like just go after it. And I always, will take the people back that do a really good job. Dylan, who was actually played one of the masked men in our last movie, and he did like PA stuff. He was like a grip. So our sets are so small that a lot of people have different roles. So everyone, he's PA, he's the grip. But he just had a great attitude. He came in, he hustled, he worked hard. And our sets are not easy; they're very long. And so he did a great job. Brought him on to the next one, and he grew with us, and he's going to probably be the lead in the next movie. So you're seeing him go from PA to actor, and he didn't even want to be behind the camera. He wanted to be an actor. That's what happened. So he came in, he hustled, and really for everyone, that's pretty much the best advice is to just take advantage of the opportunities that you get, and also create as many opportunities as you can. Don't turn down roles, even small student stuff. You never know where anyone's going to go. So just try and create as many opportunities for yourself. And then when you have there where you're on set, ask questions, and just try and make yourself as useful as possible. Because especially in the indie world, like it's very small, and you want to make yourself, as the more stuff you can do, the more stuff you can learn, the better your odds that, when we're going through a budget, and we're trying to cast people, you'll be the person that I end up calling.
Exactly. I think one of the biggest things to highlight there, because I think the exact same things, but really being able to take away the unknown fear that we have in casting people. You cast someone, you never really worked with them before, and I don't care who you are. If I ask you a question of, hey man, like we're gonna work long days, can you handle it? They're always gonna say yes. No one in an interview is gonna be like, oh no, I give me 2 days and then I'm done. And these shoots are very, very intensive. So being able to kind of really put in the work, it goes a long, long way. And then for the future roles, we can know that we can count on you. So that's one of the bigger things. I also think, if you're an actor or there's anyone in the industry, I'm not the biggest fan of social media when it comes to like my personal stuff, but I would say it is definitely a factor nowadays. So if you're an actor and you carry 10, 20, 30, 50, 100,000 followers, that is going to hold so much more weight than someone who doesn't. And it's just the fact of being in this industry. What are we competing for when it comes to movies? We're competing for eyeballs. And if you already have a good set of eyeballs coming from your followers, that's going to be a big help. So I say, if you're your special effects, make a special effects page, show off your work. If you're an actor, try and, just, even if it's just acting and just, doing your favorite lines and posting that, try and figure out ways that you can do what you want to do and build a following for it. So then when, we talk with you, you say, hey, I have this many people coming from my personal background. That's only going to help you out in the long run. So those are usually the two ones I say is, you got to work hard. You got to make the most out of every single opportunity, and you got to try and build your personal brand. It's really one of those things where if you have that personal brand, you're going to get considered way more. You'll just find a lot of the doors are open when you say, hey, I already have this many followers. If you have more followers in the studio that is, producing the film, or just whoever it may be, you're going to be able to bring a lot more weight to it. So those are usually the things that I mention when it comes to, what the best thing is. However, I do want to caveat that this is one of the hardest industries ever. It is tough. It is a grind. There's no guarantee. I have mad support for anyone who is trying to do it. There's no guarantee of your success. This is not the job you get the job you show up for, and it's very consistent. This is the one that takes a lot of work. It's also the reason why a lot of people want to do it, because at the end of the day, it's super fun. And I love every second of being on set, but it's also incredibly tiring, and you just feel like a zombie once you're finally done.
Yeah, I mean, to touch on the audition process, just for the last film we did, we had 700 people audition. So it's like sometimes you might be, perfect for the role, or something might just be off. You just got to give yourself opportunities. Out of the 700, we did maybe 70. I did 70 Zoom calls, just to get the four or five actors. You're like looking at less than 1%. So sometimes it's just, the right fit. Is like, there's nothing else that maybe you just weren't the right fit for that job, or for the role. So it's just create as many opportunities as you can. I say, if you're an actor, try and do like improv or sack comedy, to be able to, especially for the stuff that we do, is like horror is very reactionary, to understand, how to react properly and give different options to the director is extremely valuable. And I'd say write your own stuff. You should be practicing writing and shooting your own stuff, even if it's on the iPhone. That to me, like an actor that comes in that either has sack comedy experience or improv comedy experience, and the ability to write and really because my directorial style and how we operate on set is like, I'll give you guidelines that I want you to operate within. But I'm expecting you, or I'd like your character to become, you to take over the character and make it your own. And I think that's where you get a really, really good performance. So, and a lot of that comes from, changing the lines just a little bit, within reason, but making, the character's cadence and rhythm and speaking patterns more natural to you gets just a more natural, character and a better built character.
I think that's a great point. I think one of the best things you can do is explore the entire filmmaking process. I mean, I think what makes us really strong is, since we do the writing, the videography, the editing, all, ourselves, bouncing back and forth, it's really one of those things where you get such a better understanding, where if you were just a writer, you wouldn't understand how hard it is to film what you just wrote, and then even harder to edit it. So if you do, any actor, any editor, I would say try and make your own short movie, just really try and make a short movie, get an idea there. Because if you have that mindset going in, if you're able as an actor to say, whoa, I should have been with my hand up here, that's not going to edit right. That's amazing for us, for you to catch that and have that mindset. Where if you're just, only acting, you might not find the things that end up, like, again, for writing, improv, having better lines is going to be huge. For the editing side of stuff, making sure that, you set it up right. So all of those things, if you give yourself more experience and more roles, you're just going to make yourself super valuable on set. And I would never really try, like, maybe in the bigger industry, in the Hollywood scene, you can survive in just one role, but in the indie side of things, from what we've seen, everyone's going to wear multiple hats on these sets. And the more opportunities you give yourself to be useful, the more useful we're going to see you as. So with that being said, what would you say, what's really cool is, so we started a TikTok page, and it ended up getting a lot of followers. We have about 25,000 on Instagram, but that was like 2-3 years of work slowly building up. We posted one of our videos and it got about 13 million views, TikTok's algorithm and whatnot. But we've been able to get a lot of really, really cool fans from that. I got a huge shout out again to our super fans. We had a really cool Discord community going and whatnot. And it's really amazing seeing just how passionate it is. So I always think, any indie studio out there, think about building your fan base, because these are going to be the people that support you. These are going to be the people who, really motivate you. Like, honestly, I've been on fire lately just because I feel like, I have to do good by them because of how supporting they are. So what would you say to, building a support system? And then also, what would you say to our fans that we got right now?
Well, I mean, huge shout out to the super fans. I've been busy editing the last movie that we've been doing, but I'm in that Discord. I see those memes. They're great. So, I appreciate everything that you guys are doing and following us. And, it means a lot. And, I'm hoping, and we will start to generate more content for you guys, once we just get over this hump of getting this movie completed. But for the super fans, first looked at scripts, feedback on, cuts of the movie. Honestly, I will try to give you as much, within reason so you can see the process from start to finish. And I think that's extremely important for anyone who wants to be in the industry. And it'd be a symbiotic relationship because, I'll get feedback on it. We get feedback on all the cuts that we do. On the trailers, and you're going to start seeing the movie posters that we're creating roll in probably in next week. But you'll see, from idea for the next one to script to, we'll probably live stream on set, just to give you guys the full picture of exactly what we're doing, how we're going to execute it, and then, how you deal with post-production and, how you make money with these films, what the distribution model looks like, and what we're going to do with it next. So I think, film school is great. But this will be a free look, good, making a movie from essentially log line all the way to, final upload, on the different platforms. And you'll see the film festivals too. Hopefully we're looking for a bigger festival run. Cabin 13, I think, won 4 awards and was in about 12 or 15 different festivals. But the super fans love to have you guys there. So there's going to be a lot of benefits. We're just slowly growing this, and we're just coming up with different ideas. But I definitely think it's going to be something really cool.
Yeah, so if you guys want to end up helping us out and supporting us as a super fan, we do have a Discord channel. That's where I recommend, just because it's so easy for us to upload content when it comes to the scripts, the videos, and all of those things. So if you want to do that, it is DBS Films is our Discord. And I'm saying this, I'm going to keep saying this loud as much as I possibly can. The first 100 super fans, that is so critical, because this is, we're just getting started off. We haven't had a big break or anything like that. So this first 100 that we end up getting, you guys are going to mean really, really a lot to us, especially moving forward. We're gonna have a whole bunch of perks, benefits, DBS parties, and again, we're gonna have a zombie movie at one point in time. I'm gonna need to cast a whole bunch of people, and I know exactly where we're looking. So super fans will get priority when it comes to that, because again, you got 700 people to probably gonna have 1,000 next time we do the auditions, and that's a good way to get yourself noticed right away, because we want people who are passionate, we want people who are excited, and we want people who support us. So that's kind of something we can do. So that's going to go ahead and wrap up our first episode of DBS Films. We hope you guys liked it. Our next episode is actually going to jump into the very first movie we made, Gone. So we're going to kind of go through that whole process of what it was like to make that movie, and that should be out. We're going to look at releasing these movies these podcasts about every single Tuesday. So if you have any feedback or anything, you can go ahead and send us an email, or you can do the best thing, which is hopping in our Discord. We have a channel all about the podcast, but we're really excited for you guys to hear this, and we're excited to keep telling our story. So until then, we will see you guys later.